like to share just a little story, something that I experienced many, many, many moons ago, like when I was in my 30s. So many of you weren't born, but and actually I might have been in my late 20s. My gosh. Anyway, um, I was starting to date someone, and this was a pretty big deal for me at the time because it was very, very early on in my come out story. I was dating a woman, and I was just kind of very taken with her, and it seemed that was the case uh, from her to me. And well, uh, confessions, true confessions, we worked in the same place, so we got to see each other every day, had lunch, had a good time. Um, and then we were probably dating 2, maybe 3 months, and I felt a little bit of a pull away. And I just could sense that something wasn't quite right. And what she said to me one time when I was trying to find out what was going on, amongst other things, and not in a nasty way by all means, but what she said to me was, "You're not enough for me." Now, I don't know if others have had that experience in your day, but at that point, probably it was about whatever, 26, 27. At that point, it really didn't feel all that great. I don't think it would probably feel all that great at any point, but it kind of turned me inside myself because this was a time in my life where I was, if you will, coming out and coming out of my shell and reaching out and trying to make connections, and that kind of didn't make me feel very good about myself. And I'm sharing this story because it's my story, but I have a sense that it's just about everyone's story. That at some point in our lives with people, whether they were significant or more a casual or what have you, that someone may have said something or done something that just didn't feel good. And when I got that, um, uh, I don't even know if I was able to connect to feeling, annoyed or angry. I just felt less than. I felt like a nothing. And of course, it was, for me at the time, it was a secret that that was going on because I wasn't out yet. So it was very much inside of me. And sometimes that's the case for us, right? Something happens and we don't have an opportunity to share it with others. And so therefore it can kind of really get embedded, and we can start to ruminate about things. Well, the good part about this story I'll share with you is we actually kind of maintain contact. And she was very, very nice with me. Um, we saw each other here and there. We all went on with our separate lives, but here and there, we touched base. And I can tell you that the last time we saw each other with our respective partners slash spouses was probably about 10 years ago. She was actually at my home, my wife's home, with her partner, who was a woman. She had had her experience, this woman getting married, having children, and all that. But ultimately, excuse me, ultimately, this is where she found her path. And it was a very warm interaction between all four of us. Um, And I feel that way to this day. You know, we're Facebook friends, so we see each other here and there. That way we don't keep up all that much directly. I did get a holiday card from her last year with her kids and her photo, which was very heartwarming. Um, but I want to share this because let's look at sometimes in our world, in our lives with people, places, and things, that things happen and they things are said or done and they make us really have doubts about ourselves and our worth. Um, I would love for everyone to kind of take a step back from that instantaneous, potentially instantaneous acceptance of that. She said this, or he said that, or did that. That must mean I'm no good. And I'd love for us to hit that pause button on that and kind of more reflect. Because after all, we're children of paradise, huh? And when I think about this story I shared with you guys here about I was not enough for her, somehow or another, not all that long ago. I mean, I carried this inside of me, like, you know, wow, I'm not enough, I'm not enough, and that kind of expanded. I'm not enough. Um, but I kind of started having a different experience, a different relationship with that. You're not enough for me. And what started changing for me was that I started to agree with her, but in a very positive way. This gal at the time, and over the course of time, as I've seen her a little bit on Facebook, one of her big loves and interests is literature. And you know, she went for her master's in that and reading. She named her son, his middle name is Dante. Go figure. Um, I would never. If I had had a son, his name would not be Dante. Even his fourth name would not have been Dante. But for her, it resonated. And so recently, like in the last several months, I started agreeing with her. You know what? She was right because for this gal, one of her big interests, what mattered to her enormously at that point in her life was literature, was poetry, was, you know, reading, writing, all things that I was kind of interested in, kind of a little bit. I was an English major at college, but I was not, you know, the MFA, the Master of Fine Arts. I wasn't. And so I suddenly said, yeah, if that really mattered to her in such a huge way, I wasn't the person for her. And it suddenly occurred to me that because I wasn't enough for her, it was really just the truth. And quite frankly, as far as I was concerned, to my self-esteem, irrelevant. Irrelevant. And I don't mean to sound like sour grapes when I say that. I mean it as a truism here that we are entitled, all of us, to be ourselves and to follow our drives, our motivations, our loves. What do we, you know, what really turns us on in terms of gives us, you know, this spiritual energy. And that was her thing, and it wasn't my thing. And I also had the audacity to go as far as maybe she's not enough for me. Maybe. No, it's again, I'm trying to avoid spitefulness, although I do kind of chuckle when I said that to myself, in all truthfulness, but maybe she's not. Because maybe at this point in my life, if I am interacting with a person who would be very significant to me, if they don't have a connection, let's say to spirit, if they don't have a connection to their souls, if they don't have what I will call the knowledge of continuity of life, guess what? We're going to be on different planes. And that's how I interpret, like, you're not enough for me. We're on different planes. And that's perfectly okay. That's why if you have experienced that in your past and somehow or another are holding on to it somewhere inside of you, your thoughts, your memories, your body, hit that pause button and reflect. Seriously. Because I truly believe that we're intended to be unique. We are intended, each and every one of us are special, and to hold tight to your self love. Please don't betray yourselves because of someone else. Not only did I come to, well, she may not be quite enough for me because of my now connection with the spiritual realm and all that. She may not be connected with me because, quite frankly, when I got that line from her so many years ago, it might have really also been a factor of she was not quite evolved enough to deliver a message with more sensitivity. So she wasn't enough for me. That was my thing. If I spoke with people, typically I would say something with as gentle a touch as I possibly could. And she was a little bit more blunt. Again, not nasty, but boom, just here it is. And that's what I feel Spirit wanted me to deliver today, for us to be more comfortable in our skin, more comfortable with our soul, with our spirit, and not only more comfortable, but to appreciate ourselves, to appreciate who we are, to embrace who we are. Another quick anecdote. This was said to me very, very recently, not 40 or so years ago. This was said to me 2 weeks ago. Now, I'm going to let you all in on a little secret, only because I trust that we're all not psychopaths here. I'm going to let you if you ever want to torture me, one of the best ways to do it is to put a pair of sandals on my feet, the kind that go in between your big toe and your second toe. I cannot walk in those shoes without being in agony. I don't know. I have enough space for it between my toes, but it just doesn't work for me. So this individual, much younger, gal in her 30s, and also very kind of connected with style and fashion, very attractive, my niece. She understood. She was with Janet and I for the weekend, and she heard from me that, she's walking around in that kind of sandal, and she saw what I had, and she goes, "You want to try on my shoes?" I said, "Absolutely not." Blah, 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 blah. She understood. And she said, "Well, Aunt Susan, good thing, because the kind of shoes that I wear, which is just a strap across the foot, right? Now, yeah, they're in fashion, so you're so lucky." And I looked at her, and I managed not to say anything outwardly, but I cannot tell you what I was saying inside. I thought, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me that I have to be grateful, thankful that the shoes that I need to wear work versus what, I guess the shoes that I should be wearing, which are high fashion. Because honestly, like at this point for me, and I hope for all of us here, that's just got to be okay. That if we're not doing things exactly the way others do them because this is high fashion or this is whatever the reason, don't go there. Don't feel less than. I don't know what my niece saw from my facial expression, but But that's really what was going on for me, a sense of shock that for her, at her age, a sense of shock that I should be grateful and fortunate that this is what it is. And it made me feel really glad that I'm the age I'm at, if that's where it is in one's 30s. So I want to conclude in this whole theme and topic here about self-love, appreciation, honoring ourselves despite what we may pick up from the world, nearby, on TV, in your family of choice. I don't care what it is. But there was something I read on Facebook this morning, a little anecdote. I don't want to read it. I'll just repeat it to you. And I'm going to call it an anecdote. And here's basically what it said, that the American eagle, which is kind of a fierce bird, that the only bird amongst all the birds that can cause the American eagle to have some challenges is the crow. And in this anecdote, I'm calling it an anecdote because I'm not saying this is factually based, okay? But the crow. And in this anecdote, there's an image of an eagle flying and a crow that is on this eagle's back and pecking at its neck while the eagle is flying midair. And the eagle does not start flying faster. It doesn't do dips. It doesn't turn in circles. It doesn't land and attack. It does nothing like that. It just continues to fly as this crow is being pecking and pecking and pecking. And what the eagle does do, though, is it ascends and it flies higher and higher and higher to eventually the air gets too thin for the crow. And the crow falls off the eagle's back. And the eagle is safe because it ascends. And I welcome all of us to consider our own eagle paths. You just ascend. You don't have to fight. You just have to be yourselves and believe in yourselves. Because we're children of paradise. Thank you.